We are now approaching our final panel, exploring artificial intelligence at the heart of the digital transformation. This session will explore both opportunities and risks of AI-driven innovation, its impact on digital transformation, and the pressing challenge of building resilience against cyber threats. Guiding this forward-looking session is Snezana Nikčević from NGO 35mm. Snezana, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Since this is the last panel for today, and it is a topic that is very close to my heart, I'd really like to welcome my guest to the stage, since we really don't want to take over much time than it was anticipated. We've been practicing me pronouncing the name of Mr. Gilles Schwoerer, and I think I pronounce it quite well, head of the Western Balkans Cyber Capacity Center, who has a distinguished career across several areas in France, mainly cybercrime. So he'll be joining me today for the session. And my other guest, Mr. Stanković from Čikom, who also has extensive experience within the cybersecurity and digital infrastructure. Thank you very much for joining me today. And since this is a really huge topic that honestly, like 30-ish minutes cannot be enough, like maybe even years to talk about it. But I'd be really, really glad to start out with the question toward you, Gilles. What kind of risks do you see when we are talking about the intersection of AI and cybersecurity? And honestly, how can we use it to better protect critical infrastructure in the Western Balkans?
Thank you, Snezana. Thank you for your invitation. I'm very glad to be here with you in this beautiful town of Budva. Every technological revolution brings progress, modernization, and also new challenges, new dangers. So, in fact, I think like AI, in particular, can play this a dual role. In fact, so it will allow us to work faster, to work quicker, with big efficiency. AI called insurance, constant vigilance against the detection of threat. You know this with the SOCs in the private sector, but not only. Exactly. And this vigilance is, of course, far superior of what human being can do, in fact. So it gives a lot of advantage and improvement for security, and in the same times we have also new challenges. So if in fact it enables us to work quicker, for the criminals it's the same thing. So they can spread ransomware, we can do social engineering. We were talking about disinformation, deepfake, so we need people trained to recognize this and to have who knows what are facing to us, in fact. So there's new threats, of course.
Yeah, and while we're talking about it, and this is sort of a question pointed out towards you, Ivan, is when we talk about AI, it's like this double-edged sword, kind of. So, you already mentioned like these attacks that we are actually like kind of already anticipated, we knew about, but what do you think, like what is something that worries you now more than something else when we are talking about frameworks of AI?
As Gilles mentioned, I would just add one thing, maybe. AI is changing everything actually, and when we are speaking about cybersecurity, AI is shaping cybersecurity into the run. On one side we have attackers who will use AI to scale their attacks and tricks. And on the other hand, we have defenders who will use it to scale their defense and shields. So it's not question will it AI shape cybersecurity, it's rather a question will we use it as a defenders to shape it for a resilience or allow attackers to shape it for us. So in my opinion there is several things that let's say raise a red flag for me. This is usage of AI tool to strengthen social engineering attacks. So, for example, if you are speaking about phishing emails and spam, in previous period before AI, we can say that we could easily spot these emails because these emails was created with some missing letters, bad spelling, context of the email was a poor translation. And when you add AI and create a phishing email, this phishing email is almost without any problem. So it's a good context of the email, it's a good translation on the local language, and it's actually tailor-made for specific individuals. So if you are communicating with your friend or CEO or a business partner, you will not recognize it as a spam. So at the end, you will need to use some AI tool from security, let's say, segment to recognize that this email is actually a phishing email. On the second place, I would say that there is a lot of voice and video deep fakes that Gilles also mentioned, and I believe that we can see right now examples and cases where the attackers actually use this kind of attack to approve or authorize some fraudulent transactions. And maybe third that I would like to mention, it's a little bit more technical part, it's a vulnerability scanning and discovery. So now attackers using AI can create a model that can be used to scan a lot of systems, and in the same time they will create a response report with let's say vulnerabilities, weak spots, and also give them and generate exploits, how to use these vulnerable spots. So all these changes actually for attackers bring shortening time to develop such a model. Before AI, they took a month of a lot of money working to achieve something like that. So nowadays I would say that these threats become so real that it's a very blur line between regular business activities and these malicious attacks.
Yeah, and while we are on it, one of the things that we are facing, and I think one of the reasons that we are talking and putting cybersecurity on a high priority level, so to say, and integrate information integrity, we've been hearing a lot of talks about digital literacy, the importance of, recognizing disinformation narratives and stuff like that. But on the other side, we have this skill gap, so to say, especially when it comes to the number of people who are actually dealing with cybersecurity. And this is where I mean, somehow it is natural to actually question, like, from the perspective of a person who works within the cyber capacity center, how do you see this, like, usage of AI tools, like, contributing to these skill gap that we actually have? Like, how would you frame, from your point of view, this usage? Would it, like, help us, or would, like, deepen even more this gap that we are talking about?
Yes, it's an important topic. It's a strategic topic also. And you're right, there's a lack of expertise, but not only in the Western Balkans, not only in the region, in fact, all over the world. In EU, there's around 400,000 unfilled position in the field of cybersecurity, so it's huge. So I should say that we can say both AI could both bridge and deepen the cybersecurity skills gap. It can help to fulfill this gap because, well, as we said just before, it helps to go faster. We are able to treat massive data with these tools, so we can do some automatic repetitive task so very quickly, so it can help in a way, and so that's the human being where our expert could be focused to on higher order decision making. But there is also this kind of improvement. AI can also help us to train people to know how to do cybersecurity, to treat incidents. So with simulation platforms and so on, it could be useful also. But in the other hand, we have to take care that our young or senior, not senior, junior analysts won't become just a button pusher. They have to understand that we have to use AI as a tool to have a better understanding, have a high skill, and not to have just people just pushing the button without having any knowledge behind. So this is our challenge. There's also the question of the equality of access. If Čikom have enough power to and money to enough budget to equip and to buy AI tools, maybe it's not the case for every company. So we have to be careful on this topic also.
Yeah, which actually is a kind of good introduction for my question to Ivan. I mean, I come from a civil society organization, and one of the things, and I work a lot in the area of digital literacy and actually online safety, mostly with young people. But what I also do a lot is actually spending a lot of time in the field, working with small businesses and stuff like that. And whenever we are talking about, AI and implications of AI or cybersecurity in general, we were talking a lot about that in the previous year. Like this budget part is always an issue, but it's also like this, this sense of we cannot escape from it. So, I mean, more or less at certain point, it's just everywhere around us. So I was just, curious, and something that we mentioned previously from the perspective of industry. What are like these fastest wins to, actually kind of defend? What kind of tools, what kind of, advices would you have? Or what do you think are the fastest wins when it comes of using AI in this sense?
Yeah, I must say before I answer on your question that actually when you are speaking about artificial intelligence, we must speak about security or cybersecurity because it cannot go without one of these two in the story. Why? Because I would say for small or medium businesses, actually the biggest let's say win-win situation with the AI is actually this automation. So we all know that AI models are used to let's say analyze and work with a huge amount of data from the different sources. I must say that there is no human or human team which can match that speed and possibility. Also, he collects, as I said, different resources, information from different devices and sources in general, and they are actually able to flag some small deviation which could lead to attack. So this is proactive approach. It's actually early warnings about possible attack. The second one is actually a next step of this automation, and that is, let's say, anomaly detection and incident response. I would rather say that, like that, because why? You have all the, let's say, organization with cyber security expert analysts, and you have incident, you have a breach, and human need time, days, hours, probably days, even months in some situation to get information who, when, and how breach into the system, just to isolate that system at the end. if we use AI, this can be done, I would say, in real time. AI security tools have defined playbooks. They have different kind of analytics, user behavior analytics, etc., etc. I just don't want to go deeply into the technical, but it can do that in the less than 1 minute. And that speed is actually a game changer. So this is a win for small SMEs, let's call it like that. But there is one catch. You know, company cannot just buy AI security tool and said, okay, I have a silver bulletproof shield. No, there is a problem. You must also invest in the people to educate the people so that people can know what is it, how to use it, and how to trust it at the end. So I would say AI is a good thing because AI is not sleepy or tired at 3 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, that is a win. But with this segment, people. So these are 2 segments, technology and people, and I will also add a third segment, processes, defined processes. So these 3 are actually.
Yeah, I mean, processes are quite important. I mean, I could also have so many questions right now around data and quality of data, especially when you are feeding the algorithms and how, you know, how many results and what kind of results they're going to produce. But I mean, it's not very wise to go into it. It would last for some hours. You know, I mean, when it comes to this story around, you know, AI and use of it and you know, human factor in it, one of the things that I always like to say is like we cannot talk about like being safe. We can talk about being safer because it's, as you said, a process. You can never guarantee 100% safety. I mean, you know, the things are changing so fast. But I would take it back to Gilles and the Cyber Capacity Center on this one. Since this is a regional center that we are talking about, and I mean, I also spend a lot of time in the region, and pretty much all, at least civil society and the people that I'm like, you know, having conversations with are facing pretty much similar problems in the region when it comes to this. But can you like share what are kind of the plans of Cyber Capacity Center in this sense, especially since we already had like this small discussion when we were preparing for the session? When we are talking about responsible use of AI, this is something that we also come up with, you know, something that should be highlighted. But if you can share, like, what Cyber Capacity Center is planning on doing in this sphere.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about this center, the Western Balkan Cyber Capacity Center, located in Podgorica. So we should say first that it's a result of a tripartite cooperation with Slovenia, Montenegro, and France. And the idea is to contribute to enhance the cyber resilience in the region, not only in Montenegro, in all the Western Balkans. So, in fact, we are on the way to become an international organization. So I hope that soon the countries of the region will be able to join us in this new organization, and also beyond over states, EU states, and beyond also. So it means that our mission, when we talk about cyber capacity building, it's not only training, it's also to provide tools, because as we in fact say in the discussion, without tools in cyber you can't do nothing. So you have to have people trained to use these tools, and then if they don't have the tools, it's not useful. So you have to provide them those license, we should say, and it's very expensive. So we need budget. We talk about this just there. So, and for this we cover 3 pillars: cyber security, it's a central place; cybercrime. If there's some weakness in the cybersecurity, the criminals will exploit this. So we have this pillar also, more dedicated to justice and law enforcement, and cyber diplomacy. So we should say for that we are here for a long-term action. We have the staff, we have the location, the premises. We do structural action and in partnerships with the public and the private sector. With universities, so we start to provide diploma courses, and especially in partnership with the University of Technology of Troyes, the French one, and close to the University of Montenegro. The idea is to have them involved step by step, and of course, one of the topic would be, of course, and is already AI. So we need people, as we said before, trained in this field to understand, to be able to in the field of cybercrime, especially. We make some exchange with Čikom. We have our first digital forensic bachelor degree. And we have all the students, in fact. We come and visit Čikom SOCs. And the idea was, for instance, with the example, to let them know what they could have as intelligence, as information for their job. If, for instance, if you are tackle the botnet, if nobody from the community of the cybersecurity told you as a law enforcement that there's maybe a C2 of a botnet hosted in your country, it's impossible for you to know it and to start investigation. So that's why it's important to create and to build the bridge between the community of the cybersecurity and law enforcement. For AI, it's the same. They need to understand how they work in national CERT or in SOCs or IT team with AI. And for them, when you are investigator, and if you do some huge investigation like SkyOCC, EncroChat, the big case with encrypt solution. So you extract massive data, and you have to analyze, to implement it, because investigator they have to push the button and to know, okay, how much IDIPs involved in Montenegro in this case. So it must be very useful for them, very easy so they need this tool, and AI can help them in their case. But as you say, there's not only this technical issue, there's also, and we contribute to this reflection also, to encourage, in fact, alignment on AI governance standards for across the Western Balkans, and an element of EU standards specifically.
Okay, I mean, when we were talking about, and I really like that you mentioned this, like bridging the gap between the, law enforcement and, the cybersecurity capacities, and this other side that is us as citizens who are, supposed to be informed what is done, how it's done, how the system works, and, how will we be protected. You mentioned something before, and it's very nice sort of introduction for the question that I have. We're talking about an ecosystem. I mean, we need to have the technical aspect, but we also need to be aware of the human factor in it. And some data that I've read actually says that the human factor is still, the highest sort of a priority in all of these talks. As someone who is pretty much involved in these talks, these layers, and I'm asking this and trying to give the intro because I'm very, very curious about knowing what you think about the readiness of people who work and live in Montenegro for these things. Like the businesses, we already touched upon that, but like how ready they are considering the fact that, for example, we are still, and having in mind today's sort of flow and the talk about the EU accession and EU alignment and all of these sort of procedures that we are supposed to follow, like, I don't know, we still don't have the GDPR aligned, and this is something that is still ongoing, which is a precondition for a lot of things that's been done, and the focus was on actual infrastructure a lot, but on the other side, there is still so much to be done for the citizens to be informed on what it is, how it functions, because I think that it's really important to talk with the language that everybody can understand. So just having also your experience in mind, and I know that you've been really active around, what do you think? Like, are people aware, ready, like at least from the business perspective? We are not now talking only the regular knowledge, but also people who are supposed to work with that, and also, more importantly, people who are actually just following the hype, to say, around AI without enough capacity building beforehand.
Okay, so a lot of questions in one question.
No. A small intro for very
okay,
focused question.
I will try to explain overall. I speaking about technology, people, and processes.
Yeah.
I will mention now processes. You have a regulation. You have NIS2 directive, and you have DORA directive coming from European Union. DORA is for financial institution, and NIS is in general. So we have a new law from the last year about informational security, and I would say that we have one step regulated. This is a process, what to do. But on the other hand, we have two, let's say, part of the companies, large companies, where I would like to mention financial institutions, banks, telco operators, some governmental institutions, which are actually started to use AIs in their environments, or they create a pilot project to check what can done, etc., to start to use AI in their departments. But they are very strictly regulated, and that's, I would say, the biggest reason why they are starting. On the other side, they have people, and they have a budget that they can invest in the education and training and security awareness programs for the people. But again, they are on the, let's say, first step. It started, that's a good thing, but I have concerns for SMEs. Because with the new directive in NIS2 and our local law, there is two group of the companies, critical infrastructure and important infrastructure, and they need to align with this law and this 27.1 standard. It's a not small thing, but for SMEs, I would say that quick win maybe is AIs, but the question is, do they have a strategy? Do they have enough budget? Do they have enough people, not experienced people, just the people who can be part of some training program and to use AI? So I see this as a big problem. I must say that, as Gilles said, we as a company providing these kind of services just for SMEs. But at the end, I would say that every company need to have a strategy to appropriately create what kind of people they need, what kind of tool they need, and to approach step by step. Because if you try to build the AI with small, let's say, group of people without knowledge, then I would say that you are in bigger problem than you was before this implementation of AI.
Thank you so much. And then to take it over to Gilles, like from your perspective, this EU alignment, and we mentioned it a little bit before, so I'm not going to repeat myself. How do you see, this alignment, importance, and segment, considering that we are talking about cybersecurity? And I know that the Capacity Center was heavily involved, like in all of these talks. And what are some of the, highlights that you would share in that aspect?
Yes, well, in fact, the first reason that we will have to promote those EU standards, it's because the 6 Western Balkans in fact, candidate for a future edition. So it's the first reason that so it's better for us, for the region, to start to work with these standards like you do, with the EU AI Act, with the Digital Service Act for the regulation. And so it's very important because all these standards, in fact, brings trust, in fact, because we need compliance, and compliance ensures cross-border cooperation, in fact, and in cyber, it's well, there's no border, so it must be interoperable, and without this alignment, without this compliance, local companies, regional companies, maybe could have the risk of being excluded by EU supply chain. So it's important to work on this, of course, and the center could promote those regulation, and of course it's also with AI. We need to protect AI because when you use ChatGPT, you have to ask you the question: where's going your data after? So there's this topic. So we need regulation. We need standards to avoid disinformation, to avoid leaks, and also to promote, in fact, ethics and democratic values. It's also the goal at the end.
Definitely, and I'm glad that you mentioned the Digital Services Act because, you know, to say a nice and positive thing, like Montenegro is already working on aligning. The working group is like ongoing, and they're working on actually aligning this part of the EU acquisitions. And since we don't have that much time anymore, I just really want to close up with you, both of you, giving 1 or 2 sentences maximum. What do you think is like the most urgent priority for making AI as like a force for security and not the other way around? And to wrap it up with that one.
Yeah, will you?
Yep, you can do. Whoever wants to do it.
Prevention, training, and also governance frameworks to be must be in place to ensure reasonable and also responsible development of the use of AI in the region, I think.
Thank you, Jan.
Well, I would add just one risk on top of this. It's a data governance and trust, as you said, because this is really important. Without this in proper standardized implementation, you will open additional door of risk for compliance, GDPR, etc. So, in general, I already said it. Standardization create a strategy with the people who will guide this implementation of AI tool with responsibility, and rushing into the AI can just be a very expensive toy to provide you just a simulation of your security in company, but without people it's not gonna work.
Thank you both so much. I'd like to thank you all for staying with us until the end. This was the end of our conversation for the day, although we would have so much more to discuss with. I thank you both for being with us today, and that's all from us.